You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
Right now at 7, leaders across the globe are expressing their condolences at the passing of President Jimmy Carter. We'll hear the thoughts from a few area residents.
Also, we'll have the details on how Pittsburgh police officers will be working to keep the streets safe this New Year's Eve.
And it is a chilly start to the day. Some clouds out there. They'll eventually go away. We'll have a look at that forecast to get you out the door coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Well, good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Elise Noe.
I'm Chris Warner. It is just after 7 a.m. on this Tuesday, December the 31st, New Year's Eve. And here we are getting ready to roll into 2025.
End of the year, finally here.
Yeah, it's made it. And I wonder if 2025 will go by just as fast as this year did.
No, we'll have to see.
A wild year for sure. And of course, President Carter passing away at the age of 100, which is just an incredible life that he led.
Big loss at the end of the year. And although President Jimmy Carter may no longer be with us, his legacy continues. The 39th president dedicated much of his life advocating for affordable housing, working to provide quality homes for those in need, and much more.
KOAM's Lonnie Walton went to Joplin to get reactions from the residents regarding his passing.
Obviously, I have a heavy heart over the loss of President Carter.
Barbie Huff is the Director of Family Services at the Joplin Area Habitat for Humanity. She says President Carter's death is really pulling at her heart, and not just because of his accomplishments, but just because of who he was.
He was a fantastic humanitarian, very kind, decent, wonderful man who devoted his life to being a servant leader.
39th President's legacy lives on through Habitat for Humanity, where he helped build over 4,000 homes. In 2019, he helped build his last home. He was 95.
They were wonderful at carpentry and painting and doing anything that was necessary at the projects.
Resident Jonathan Stewart says Carter was the only president he ever shook hands with. He says, like Duff, he was a very kind man.
He was very pleasant man. He went out of his way to shake as many hands as possible.
And although Huff never actually met him, she got close enough when he spoke at an event that she attended.
We tried to get as close to the front as we could, so we had like third row seats. It's great. It was very heartwarming, very, just almost took your breath away.
And others agree with Huff.
Yeah, it was a visionary. He was seeing alternative energy way before anyone else was realizing it. I hated to see him go.
It kind of depressed me. He was a good man.
And Huff says the president's name associated with Habitat for Humanity really strengthened the company's mission.
Once he got on board with it, the mission and the organization just really expanded.
Reporting in Joplin, I'm Lonnie Walton, KOAM News.
Now, although some residents weren't in the same political party as President Carter, they say his hard work and dedication were undeniable.
Certainly so. An incredible president and just a one-term president, and the legacy that just that 4-year window he had and what he's left behind. And hopefully this just strengthens, especially for Habitat for Humanity, their mission as well. Draws more attention to
fantastic humanitarian.
Certainly so. We've got a pretty chilly day out there. It's chilly this morning. It's not going to do much warming, but at least we'll eventually see some sunshine. However, this morning, no sunshine. And how do we know that? Well, we can look out the window for you by showing our camera downtown Pittsburgh, and you can see there's no sunshine out there. It is cloudy for sure, and it's going to remain that way for a little bit, and we'll start to see some clearing. Look at those clouds from our camera at 7th and Rangeline, just kind of socked in out there with dark skies this morning. Same from MoDOT camera at 20th and Rangeline. Kind of a dreary, cool start to the day. I ran just little periods of drizzle this morning. Of course, that's not going to show up on radar, but you might hit a little drizzle here and there. On to the future track we go, though it does bring good news, at least some. We'll start to by late morning, early afternoon, clouds clearing from west to east. Now, on typical days, it if you see the sun a little earlier, like our western counties will by noon, you'd be a little warmer than everyone else. It's not going to be the case today. Temperatures just kind of floating out there in the low 40s, and we'll still have those gusty northwest winds. And we'll eventually go mostly clear late this evening. Winds ease up a bit, not much, but a bit overnight tonight. They'll be gusting up to 20 instead of 30 or 40. So, like I said, slight improvement, but an improvement nonetheless. 40 in Joplin right now, 39 in Pittsburgh. Temperatures relatively unchanged throughout the morning hours. We've been hovering in the upper 30s and low 40s. We've had some locations come down a bit, some locations go up a bit, but really it's been about that much movement in terms of temperatures. But then you factor in the gusty northwest wind at about 30 miles an hour. So it's got wind chills 29 in Iola, 28 Greenfield, feels like 27 now in Monette, with everybody else still sitting in the low 30s, so it still feels quite cold. Again, temperatures really just hovering through the day into the low 40s, skies gradually clearing, and as they do, temperatures drop, falling back into the 20s tonight. So again, if you're celebrating responsibly this evening, you want to make sure you bundle up because it is going to be a cold start to 2025. We have that polar vortex next week. We also have the chance for wintry weather. We'll go over all those details with you in the full forecast in just a few more minutes. Elise?
All right, thanks, Chris. Well, authorities in Cherokee County responded to a rollover crash yesterday morning. The crash happened just before 10 a.m. and on scene responders discovered a cement mixer truck had overturned near the BNSF track outside of Columbus. Reports say the truck dropped its rear tires off the edge of the road and it pulled the whole truck down. The driver sought medical care for minor injuries. The Afton Police Department needs your help in identifying this vehicle. Authorities seek information on the vehicle in connection to a dumping incident which took place on Friday. The incident in question resulted in the removal of a dumpster from behind the Afton City Hall. Now, trash on Friday piled over the dumpster until the access piled up around the area. Now, trash services were unable to empty the dumpster as the area was too piled up with garbage to get near the dumpster. Authorities believe they may have a suspect who is abusing the public dumpster. They've asked the public for any information regarding the vehicle or the incident. Well, Pittsburgh Police Department is making similar efforts to keep roads safe from driving while intoxicated on New Year's Eve. KOAM's Melissa Alexis has more on what initiatives they'll be taking.
Your life is worth way more than a New Year's party.
With New Year's right around the corner, many people have plans to enjoy gatherings with family or friends. And Marie Barclay and her granddaughter are no different.
For our family, we often just stay home, throw a big party, don't really go out a whole lot.
But for those that do plan to go out to celebrate, she says it's important to put safety first.
Darkness and two-lane roads and things like that can be very dangerous. So yes, please get a hotel, go someplace safe.
According to ks.gov, in 2022, Kansas had 2,167 alcohol-related crashes. Sergeant Travis Bowman with Pittsburgh Law Enforcement says to keep roads safe, Pittsburgh is participating in a campaign called Taking Down DUI, which runs from December 26th through January 2nd.
During this time frame, we also have officers out that are specifically focused on traffic and aren't dependent on calls, and they're not having to share traffic enforcement detail with just normal patrol duties. Like, they are specifically out there for traffic.
He says if you plan to drink on New Year's Eve, it's important to have a ride planned in advance.
Having someone come to pick you up, we have multiple rideshare services in town. Just make sure that you don't make enjoying the holidays like a last-minute scheduling thing.
Oftentimes you will find young people or family members who are willing to help you out, be designated driver.
And Barclay's advice to her granddaughter and to others:
have fun, be young, enjoy yourself, but make a plan.
Reporting in Pittsburgh, Melissa Alexis, KOAM News.
Now, according to KDOT, during the 2022 and 2023 New Year's Eve holiday period, there were 42 alcohol-related crashes in Kansas. And those are our top news stories this half hour. Coming up next, Starlene Patton stopped by the studio earlier with a recipe just in time for your New Year's Eve party. And later, one Iowa organization is working to put instruments into the hands of passionate musicians. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. We'll be right back, but first, here's a live look of the Glide in downtown Fort Scott. Welcome back. Charlene Patton with the Kansas Soybean Commission is with us this morning to teach us how to make a delicious snack perfect for New Year's Eve. Good morning, Charlene.
I love this because it's easy to make. You can make some adjustments to it, and you'll want to keep this recipe because it's great for all the football games too.
Absolutely.
Anytime you're needing some munchies. We're going to start out with our margarine, and I've melted it. We've got 2 tablespoons. You are going to mix in some hot pepper sauce here. You can just pour that into it. And this is an adjustment, so if you like it spicy, you can certainly add some more. And then we have some sesame oil there.
Alrighty.
There we go. Mix that in. And now we're going to put our nuts in here. And that's another way that you can make it your own. Add your favorite nuts in here. So we have cashews here. I'll put those in. We have walnuts.
Right here.
And pecans.
Go.
And then we have roasted edamame.
Yes.
And these are salted ones. They add a little bit of green to it. But I wanted to show that you can get it plain, the dry roasted edamame, or if you like that spiciness, these are wasabi ones.
Absolutely.
And they will definitely
Very
give you
fun.
some spice. So now I'm going to pour that in.
Okay.
And we are going to just toss that a little bit. And then we have chili powder, some curry, ground curry, and some salt. And now just sprinkle that over it. And we'll toss it to cover it. And then this will go on a parchment covered baking sheet. And you're going to bake this just until the nuts get crispy. So 350, but then maybe 15, 20 minutes, stir it. And then another 15 minutes so that it's nice and toasted. This on a cold day, warm nuts would be great, wouldn't it? And
great for snack.
yeah, and great snack. So here we go here with and you can smell that with all those smells.
Absolutely. Great smell there. And where can people get this recipe for spicy party nuts, Charlene?
Go to our website at kansassoybeans.org. We have all the recipes for December there, or they can call the 800 number, 877-KS-SOYBEAN.
Well, Charlene, thanks so much for being with us this morning. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year.
Stick around. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. It is 7:17 now on this Tuesday morning. We're going to start with the future track, try and get through all of this for you as we get this weather pattern started. All right, so here's what we've got. Into the afternoon, skies clearing from west to east. So we're starting cloudy. Those clouds will be gone by this evening. Will be mostly clear, so just a few lingering clouds. We'll have to deal with those gusty northwest winds. But as we head into the evening and overnight, they ease up just a bit. So during the day, they'll be gusting upwards of 30, 35 miles an hour. By tonight, they're going to be gusting upwards of 20. So when we fall back into the 20s tonight, we're talking about wind chills, low 20s, upper teens. So if you're celebrating and your celebration takes you outside, make sure you bundle up. And of course, as we've talked about this morning, make sure that you celebrate responsibly. Wednesday, mostly clear, just a few passing clouds, another chilly day, but the winds will be calm. We go into the upper 30s by noon and eventually, like today, low 40s out there. As we go later into Wednesday and overnight, clouds thicken up. This is the first part of the interesting forecast here as we head into Thursday morning. Take a look at the temperatures at 5 a.m. Low 30s, all right? By 7, 8 o'clock, we get a wave coming through. Now, right now, the future track is painting it as snow with some rain showers, okay? So what we are looking at is where the freezing line is going to be by the time this wave gets here. The future track believes it's going to be cold enough that we're going to get some light snow. We think that, honestly, it'll be warm enough that will actually be rain, and we're going to be right on the cusp based on these temperatures for Thursday morning. If the freezing line lifts a little further north, we're practically guaranteed rain. If for some reason the freezing line shifts a little further south, then we could see that snow precipitation. Now, regardless of what falls Thursday, we're not expecting any significant anything out of it. But if it does fall as snow, it could lead to some slick spots for that Thursday morning commute out there. So that's something to keep in mind. That's something we'll keep an eye on. But we're not expecting any major accumulations. And if it does fall as snow, by noon you can see we're starting to clear out already, low 40s, low to mid 40s, even up in the areas where we might see some some rain or snow, so anything that does fall will be gone by the afternoon and evening hours, and then it starts to get really darn cold. Cloudy skies out there, northwest winds again gusting upwards of 30, temperatures upper 30s and low 40s, but with those winds, it feels like it's in the upper 20s and low 30s, and it's felt that way all morning long. The only improvement we're going to see is our wind chills will be into the upper 30s by this afternoon instead of the low 30s. Cloudy skies out there, again, just kind of hovering in the 40s through the morning and into the afternoon as the sky is clear, just sitting. Not a lot of movement out there, just low 40s and breezy. Now into tonight, as the clouds clear, we don't have that blanket anymore, so temperatures will begin to drop. Low 30s by 10, again 20s overnight tonight. Then we get into Sunday. Yeah, this is Sunday, all right? I know Doug's talked about some of this as something we're watching. Right now, we're obviously several days away, and a lot can change. But this is what's been somewhat consistent. This is what we're looking at it as of right now. We're going to start with some rain Sunday afternoon. Temperatures will begin to drop. As they do so, we'll see a transition to maybe some sleet, a wintry mix, maybe even some freezing rain, which is not our favorite thing. As temperatures continue to drop Sunday evening, we start to see this turn over to snow, and that could last overnight into early Monday morning. That's a big deal because I know a lot of folks will be going back to work Monday, school back in session for a lot of kids by Monday, so a lot to monitor, and we're still several days out. It's way too early to even guess what kind of accumulations we could be looking at with that, but it is something you definitely want to watch, and we'll be watching it as well. And then we go after that, take a look. We're starting Tuesday morning, upper teens across the area. Temperatures fall through the day Tuesday and then eventually come back up again as we go on Tuesday afternoon. We're starting Wednesday morning potentially in single digits out there. So a lot to monitor. If you got to get your house ready, now's the time to do it. Get your car ready. We'll see what happens Thursday. Cold air starts to set in, and then Sunday kicks off that Arctic air as temperatures begin to plummet next week. Let's check your forecast. We're back with more right after this. An Iowa-based nonprofit wants every student in the state to have a chance to pursue their passion for music.
Bo Bowman takes us to Altoona, where Broken Strings is keeping that passion alive with 2 gifts for 2 young musicians.
The second floor at Brick and Ivy in Altoona is filled with lots of sounds. But the reason all these people are here is for the music.
As an older musician, it's our duty to raise the next generation of musicians up.
Scott Kirkhart is the founder of Broken Strings, a nonprofit created to provide kids with guitars, attempting to give away a guitar to a student in every Iowa school district.
Watching the kids and the way they light up, and who knows, maybe we're going to spark the next Garth Brooks or Taylor Swift or, we don't know. So let's find out, right?
Today is the final day of their 12 Days of Christmas, giving away the final 2 instruments to meet their goal.
Think of it as like an interview for a rock band because you're going to have more.
Carmen Gibson is one of those recipients, a 7th grader at Southeast Polk who could barely contain her excitement when she found out.
And I was jumping up and down and I was being quiet as I can, but I was really excited I could scream.
The other is 10-year-old Mikey Ring.
Smash the like button, hit the burn.
Mikey's love for music dates all the way back to birth, literally. While spending the first 9 months of his life in the NICU for a heart condition, Mikey's parents say one of the only things that would lower his heart rate was music therapy.
Cultivate some of where we were at, in the NICU and what the music did for him. So, it's a pretty emotional circumstance for sure.
10 years later, Mikey received the best gift he could ask for.
Here's your brand new guitar, buddy.
And with the stroke of a Sharpie, Mikey and Carmen pledged to continue their love for the arts and strum away for the music in their hearts.
Certainly an impressive donation there, and incredible they're able to be able to bring in those gifts and keep music alive.
Absolutely. Great to see. Well, coming up, we'll have a few tips that may help you keep your New Year's goal on track.
And we've got ourselves a chilly start to the day. We'll tell you how long it lasts and, what you can expect for this afternoon when we come back.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Welcome back to the KOA Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:29. I'm Elise Snowy. Kansas Governor Laura Kelly has called for flags to be flown at half-staff in honor of former President Jimmy Carter. The governor made the announcement yesterday in accordance with Executive Order 230 and the proclamation signed by President Joe Biden. The flags are to remain at half-staff until January 28th. Jimmy Carter was the 39th president of the United States and was awarded the 2002 Nobel Peace Prize. The winter holiday season is almost over, but the Glide in Fort Scott is adding a few more dates to their schedule. The Glide is Fort Scott's synthetic ice skating rink, and the extra hours are today from 4 to 9 p.m. and Wednesday, that's tomorrow, from noon to 4 p.m. All skaters are welcome, and entry will only cost $5. Your last opportunity to skate the Glide this season will be this weekend. Avid readers and adventurers have a cool hangout to gather at this Friday. The Nevada Public Library is hosting a cozy camp-in. The event takes place from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. and will feature reading Forts in the Stacks, quiet reading time by flashlight, games, snacks, and more. Now let's head over to Chris with a quick look at your forecast.
Our camera in downtown Pittsburgh, it is cloudy. Now we got a little more light outside. You can very, very easily see the cloud cover that we have out there. Our camera 7th in range line, well, it's out of focus. I need to fix that, but it is also cloudy. And as we head down to the MoDOT camera at 20th in range line, it is cloudy once again. But it will eventually clear out. In fact, by this afternoon, even by this late morning, we're going to have clouds clearing from west to east. I'll continue to do so. Unfortunately, the sunshine will have absolutely no impact on temperatures. We're just going to be hovering in the low 40s. On top of that, through most of this day, winds once again gusting upwards of about 35, maybe even 40 miles an hour out of the northwest. But by this evening, they ease up just a bit. They'll be gusting upwards of about 20 miles an hour, so still leaving us feeling pretty chilly. And it already feels pretty cold out there. 40 right now at Joplin, 39 in Pittsburgh, and across the region, temperatures look like this. Upper 30s. Low 40s. Okay, overall, I mean, it's cold, but it's not that bad. But then you factor in that gusty northwest wind pushing about 30 miles an hour so far this morning. Feels like 29 in Iola, 28 Greenfield, 27 in Monette. And the rest of us, it feels at or even a little below freezing in a number of locations. So it still feels very cold. Now later today, those wind chills will be into the upper 30s. Which will be slightly better. Highs, again, temperatures just hovering, low 40s out there. Skies gradually clearing. As they do so, will be mostly clear tonight, which means temperatures will begin to drop. We're eventually going to fall into the 20s tonight. So if you're planning any kind of outdoor event or you're going to be outdoors for New Year's, just be prepared to bundle up and, of course, celebrate responsibly. It's going to be very cold out there. It's going to get even colder with an Arctic air mass rolling in next week, and we have some chances of wintry weather. Details on all of that in the full forecast. That's coming up here in just a few more minutes. Lise?
All right, thanks, Chris. Well, a new year can be a time for a fresh start, but sticking to your resolutions can be challenging. Instead, psychology experts discuss how setting attainable goals that can lead to lifestyle changes may be a better strategy. Fox News' Kevin Uretsky reports.
The excitement surrounding the new year can put folks in a tizzy as they craft resolutions they hope to achieve. But creating new habits takes time. You've heard the saying, Rome wasn't built in a day.
And we know that consistency and some time, so doing that new habit regularly for the first month will really help it become a part of your life.
That's why some psychologists suggest aiming for lifestyle adjustments instead of resolutions to really help cement the changes you seek.
So rather than a resolution, which is something you're kind of holding as this thing you must achieve, a lifestyle goal is something that you incorporate into your life. So it becomes part of what you do.
So, where do you start?
It's important to think of where are you now and what are some small steps towards what your ideal is.
Then you'll want to take a slow and steady approach and look to accomplish realistic tasks instead of lofty ambitions.
If it's getting 15 minutes more sleep every day or going to bed a few minutes early, if you want to start meditating, it may not be committing to an hour-long meditation session. It might be 2 minutes every morning just to try this new habit.
And as you work towards making lifestyle changes, Mental health experts say you should be kind to yourself if you stumble along the way.
There will be errors, and it's through those errors and challenges we can learn, we try again.
Kevin Uretsky, Fox News.
That's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. A hotel in Finland is gaining a reputation that's hard to see. We'll be right back, but first, here's a live look of the Glide in downtown Fort Scott. In Consumer Watch this morning, with inflation weighing consumers down, what's the prescription? Consumers decided holiday spending goes up. A report from MasterCard says holiday sales from the beginning of November through Christmas Eve went up 3.1% over last year's buying. Now that increase was larger than the 3.1% increase in 2023 over 2022's holiday spending. MasterCard says the last 5 days of the buying period made up 10% of all holiday sales. And more consumers may be defaulting on their credit card payments. A report shows credit card loan defaults jumped up 50% from last year, and lenders wrote off $46 billion in those defaults. Now it's the highest increase since 2010, and the report comes as the New York Federal Reserve says credit card debt overall reached $1.17 trillion in the third quarter this year. Well, Boeing stock dropped following a fatal crash of one of the airline's jets in South Korea. A Jeju Air Boeing 737-800 crash landed on Muan International Airport Sunday, crashing into a concrete wall, killing 179 passengers. Boeing stock dropped approximately 2% in midday trade, and the South Korean government said it plans to conduct a safety inspection of all Boeing 737-800 aircraft operated by domestic airlines. Well, vehicle owners are driving into the new year on a collision course with surging insurance rates. Costs have exploded in the last 2 years, and the trend is expected to continue. And many drivers are asking why. Well, Fox Business correspondent Max Gordon explains from Los Angeles.
Auto insurance is expensive, and a lot of folks are afraid of raising their rates even higher. Here at AutoWorks Collision Center in Los Angeles, one of the co-owners says that customers are coming in more frequently and asking to pay out of pocket because they don't want to go through their insurance.
Now I have customers, returning customers of mine, that are willing to pay $4 or $5 grand out of pocket to avoid going through their insurance company. There's a fear of their premium going up, and there's a bigger fear of their insurance provider dropping them.
This as auto insurance prices have been soaring. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the cost of auto insurance is up 57% since January of 2021. According to NerdWallet, the average monthly cost for minimum coverage is $598 per year. The average yearly cost for full coverage, $2,281.
The rise in auto insurance has been driven by a number of factors, including rising accident frequency and severity. We've seen a significant increase after the pandemic. There have also been more fatalities and injuries, leading to increased attorney involvement in claims.
The uptick in price has also been driven by increases in the cost to repair vehicles because of supply chain issues, higher labor costs, and more technology being used in vehicles, making them tougher and costlier to repair. That's according to the Insurance Information Institute, which also projects that auto repair costs with labor included will rise 3.8% in 2025. But there's a big difference in the price of insurance based on state. According to NerdWallet, the costliest full coverage insurance in the nation is in Louisiana with a price tag of $4,000 per year. The cheapest is in Wyoming with a cost of around $1,100 per year. In Los Angeles, Max Gordon, Fox Business.
And those are our top consumer stories. Let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, 7:43 on this Tuesday morning, and we've got some weather to talk about. Now for today, it's going to be chilly, it's going to be breezy, and eventually it will be somewhat sunny. From west to east, by late morning into the afternoon, clouds will begin to clear. Now that sunshine will have almost no impact on our temperatures. With those gusty northwest winds, we are just going to kind of float around into the low 40s for most of today. And with the gusty northwest winds as well, it'll keep our wind chills back into the upper 30s through most of today as well. We'll have mostly clear skies through the evening and overnight. So if you're celebrating responsibly tonight, be prepared for cold air. We're going to fall back into the 20s with the gusty northwest winds tonight. That's going to put those wind chills back in the low 20s, maybe even into the upper teens. We'll have a few clouds throughout the day on Wednesday, another chilly one, upper 30s by noon, eventually once again back into the low 40s for most of us. Clouds increase as we go overnight Wednesday into Thursday morning. And Thursday morning is where we get our first interesting piece of information on the future track. So here we go. 8 a.m., maybe as early as 7. We've got snow on the future track, but look at the temperatures. They're right on the cusp of freezing. Okay, and so that's why even back toward Pittsburgh, it's showing maybe even some rain over toward Girard. But there's going to be a lot of question as to where the freezing line is, whether it lifts a little further north or if it sinks a little further south. If it goes a little further north, this is guaranteed to be rain. If it comes a little further south, then we could see some light snow. Now, I do want to emphasize, at least at this point, we're not expecting anything significant with this wave, but if it does turn out to be snow, could lead to some slick spots for the morning commute this Thursday. So that's something we want to watch, something you want to watch. But anything that does come down, especially if it's snow, will be gone by the afternoon because we're already into the low 40s by noon, and then eventually even in those same zones, low to mid 40s out there. So anything that might fall, if it is snow, will begin to melt off as we head into the afternoon. Quick look at temperatures around the region. They look like this. We are chilly, upper 30s and low 40s across the area, but then you got those gusty northwest winds pushing about 30 miles an hour. It's got wind chills back into the upper 20s and low 30s, so it feels quite cold. So by this afternoon, again, our wind chills will be in the upper 30s. Cloudy to start, but further west, by late morning, you'll start to see some clearing. Temperatures, again, not moving much out there, just holding on right around the low 40s, upper 30s. Low 40s for highs. Again, we just kind of sit there for a while. Northwest winds gusting around 35. Then as we head into the evening, the skies continue to clear. We lose that blanket of cloud cover, and that's what makes us get cold tonight back into the mid-20s. This is Sunday. Sunday's another interesting part of this whole equation because as we head into next week, Doug's talked about it, I've talked about it, Lindsay's talked about it, we've all been talking about it. You've probably seen it all over Facebook at this point too. Polar vortex. We had one back in 2021. We're having another one. Now, this could bring even colder air than that one did, if you can believe that. But let's break down Sunday. Sunday's kind of the catalyst of all of this getting started. We're looking at starting Sunday afternoon with rain. Temperatures begin to fall. That rain transitions to maybe some sleet, maybe some freezing rain. Then on the backside of that, as temperatures continue to drop, we're stuck with snow. That snow will continue overnight Sunday into very early Monday morning. And I know a lot of kids going back to school Monday, a lot of folks probably going back to work, maybe you had a couple of weeks off for the holidays, is something we want to watch closely. Now, right now, it is too far out to talk about any kind of accumulation in terms of snowfall, and a lot can change, but that polar vortex seems to be pretty consistent, so we do want to watch this very closely as we head through the weekend and into next week. And as we go into next week, that's when we start seeing these dangerously cold temperatures out there. We're starting Wednesday in the single digits, so we got to be prepared for that as well. Between now and then, it's going to be cold, but not so bad that you can't get out. If you need to do some winterizing for your house, your car, just make sure you're ready for when that colder air gets in here as we head into the next work week. Let's check your forecast. We're back with more right after this.
Well, it's a popular business model today. Make it Instagrammable and the crowds will come.
Leah Mishkin takes us to a popular destination for content creators, an invisible hotel in Finland.
It's the sound of exclusivity. Silence, a hotel tucked away in the Arctic forest. The co-owners of the Invisible Forest Lodge say they wanted to build a place that would melt into nature.
We just fell in love in this area, the rocks, the nature, the trees. We just want to keep it that way.
The 13 boutique cabins are covered with reflective surfaces, making them hard to spot. Your instinct is to snap a picture, take a video. That was the goal.
The idea was to build a very Instagrammable venue for TikTokers and Instagrammers, that they can create the content.
And they do, making up the majority of the hotel's clientele. A one-night stay during the peak period costs more than $1,000, but the price hasn't kept guests away.
COVID showed people that you have to leave now, no time to waste.
The hotel is about a 10-minute drive from Rovaniemi city center in northern Finland, a city growing in popularity.
It's all about peer-to-peer marketing and social media.
It's been referred to as the official hometown of Santa Claus.
The posts and the shares that we get, no matter is it Northern Lights or Santa or Arctic Circle crossing or whatever you do here, the fun stuff, if it's Instagrammable, it works really well.
With every new post, the world grows smaller, making these once hidden gems just a click away.
There were 1.2 million overnight visitors in Rovaniemi in 2023, a record for the area.
Officials have high hopes they'll top that number this year. Certainly an interesting place. A little too cold for me, but it looks beautiful.
Chilly. Yeah,
it does look
absolutely.
beautiful. It's going to feel about like Finland here in about a week or so, but between now and then, it is still going to be chilly, but not quite Finland chilly out there. Quick look at the future track. So as we head in the afternoon, skies will begin to clear from west to east. Temperatures not really moving much, just kind of holding out into the 40s today. But overnight, once we're just mostly clear, there's not going to be enough cloud cover to keep in any slightly warm air. So fall back into the 20s. So if you're celebrating for New Year's Eve, do keep that in mind. We're talking wind chills back into the upper teens and low 20s tonight. It's going to be pretty darn cold out there. As we head into Wednesday, we're mostly clear. Temperatures like today into the low 40s and upper 30s. Winds are expected to be calm, and then late Wednesday into Thursday, clouds thicken up. Then we're still keeping an eye on exactly how this plays out Thursday morning. So again, future track is showing snow, but you can see the temperatures just a hair above freezing. If the freezing line shifts to the north, this may very well be some light snow. If it shifts a little further south, it's guaranteed to be rain. One way or the other, we're not expecting anything significant, but if it does fall as snow, could lead to some slick spots for your morning commute, but it won't last long if it falls as snow, because we head into the afternoon, we're back in low 40s with sunshine, and it'll begin to melt pretty quickly. We'll have another look at your forecast, news you need to know right after this.
Well, here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Leafton Police Department needs your help in identifying this vehicle. Authorities seek information on the vehicle in connection to a dumping incident that took place on Friday. Now, trash services were unable to empty the dumpster as the area was too piled up with garbage to get near the dumpster. They've asked the public for any information regarding the vehicle or the incident. And authorities in Cherokee County responded to a rollover crash yesterday morning. On scene, responders discovered a cement mixer truck had overturned near the BNSF track outside of Columbus. Reports say the truck dropped its rear tires off the edge of the road and it pulled the whole truck down. The driver sought medical care for minor injuries. And Kansas Governor Laura Kelly has called for flags to be flown at half-staff in honor of former President Jimmy Carter. The governor made the announcement yesterday, and the flags are to remain at half-staff until January 28th. Jimmy Carter was the 39th president of the United States and was awarded the 2002 Nobel Peace Prize.
And we've got a chilly day today, low 40s, gusty northwest winds continuing out there, and skies gradually clearing across the region. Mostly clear skies as we go overnight tonight, and much colder back into the mid-20s. Still some gusty winds putting those wind chills low 20s and upper teens. As we head through the weekend, we're watching Thursday. We're expecting rain. Could be a rain-snow mix, could be snow for some, but it won't add up to much. But just a heads up on that. Our next big system, though, Sunday, where we could have some measurable precipitation in the winter weather department. This is something we'll keep an eye on. And then that Arctic air mass arrives next week, bringing us dangerously cold temperatures.
Alrighty. Well, red fox remains dating back to the Ice Age have been discovered in a Utah cave. Deep inside the White Rocks cave, scientists discovered a nearly complete skeleton of a 26,000-year-old fox. The radiocarbon indicates that the fox died about 10,000 years before humans started farming.
Scientists have affectionately named the fox Roxy. After more tests are completed, some of Roxy's bones will be displayed at the Utah Fieldhouse of Natural History State Park Museum. Certainly an interesting find. That's a very old fox. Thankfully, he's not still, up and about.
No.
That'd
Don't
be a
need
little
that.
spooky.
That would be a little spooky.
A little bit weird. Well, thank you all so much for letting us put the good into your morning. We'll be back with more news and weather today at noon.
Have a great rest of your morning.